fifth Sunday in Lent already. I'm not feeling it. We missed our first Sunday due to the snowstorm, so it feels like it should only be the fourth Sunday in Lent. The fact that next week is already Palm Sunday and then Easter right after that just seems a little odd, but we're starting to see snowbirds making their way home. We're seeing sandals happening in church. Yes, I had to mention that, Steve. Thank you for being an object lesson. I mean, we even have March Madness messed up this year. I mean, here it is April and we're doing March Madness. Now, perhaps you're among those folks who's going to tune in tonight and watch Baylor play Notre Dame in the women's final. Maybe you're going to watch tomorrow when Texas Tech plays Virginia. Maybe you're like me and couldn't care less. Yeah, it's the one with the big round ball. And anyway, so some of you probably care about these games. More power to you. I hope you enjoy them thoroughly. But we've been watching as we've gone from 16 to 8 to 4, and now we have 2 teams playing, and whoever wins these next games gets the bragging rights for the whole next 5 minutes or something like that, right? Or does it go all year? All year. You're not being helpful. All year, okay. I need back and forth here. I'm out of my depth. Well, these bragging rights, when everybody gets to have a parade when they come home, when everyone's supporters burn down the town or whatever it is. We've seen that too, I think, haven't we? But these bragging rights are something that people really care a lot about, or at least people who care a lot about bragging rights care English. People who care a lot about bragging rights care a lot about bragging rights. It's kind of circular. Just go with it. But so often we get tied up in what we've done, or in what people who represent us have done. Because I can guarantee you that whoever is out celebrating after these victories, most of them won't have had their feet on a basketball court. They'll just be glad that people who are wearing the same school colors that they have worn have won. It's vicarious bragging rights, even. I remember back when I was in high school, I was in the marching band. And we used to play, of course, for all of the football games. That's the one with that sort of funny-shaped ball. And my senior year, we went 10-0. We were an undefeated team. Well, I say we. They were an undefeated team. We were an undefeated marching band. But we were all excited about it. When our team went to the state finals, it was exciting, even though my being on the football field was really just in the middle of whatever they were doing. But all the same, we got caught up in it. We do. It's exciting when good things are happening. And we like to go around saying, yes, our team, our side, we did the best. And we do. But sometimes we do that when we oughtn't. Those times when there's absolutely nothing that we have done that makes us any better than anybody else. And that's what the Apostle Paul was talking about when he wrote to the church in Philippi. When he laid out all of his qualifications, all of these things about which he should be proud. Being an Israelite, a Hebrew among Hebrews, a Pharisee, being one who as to the law was blameless, being one who had persecuted the church because of his zeal. But then he backpedaled a bit. But all these things that I might brag about, I count as loss. Because the only thing that I have that matters has come to me through Jesus. And so setting aside all of that pride, I press on. I press on to that higher goal of following Christ. It's one of those things that perhaps the basketball fans will be celebrating the next couple days. Don't need to hear quite so much because that's just basketball. But all of us need to hear on some level. When we start thinking to ourselves about how we have done so well, when we start telling people, well, I used to be moderator. And I'm not busting in any particular form of moderation, you understand. That's just an example. But these things that we do that sometimes serve to get in the way of our journey with Christ, when we're holding on to our pride of accomplishment, or maybe our family, or maybe how long we've been around, or all of these things, Paul reminds us to set those aside. Because it's our following Christ that matters. Mary realized that. She had been there that night. No doubt her sister Martha was serving everybody as they sat down to dinner, as Martha always seemed to do. Lazarus, just back from 4 days in the tomb, and finally smelling a bit better, was sitting there with Jesus and the other disciples. And I can just imagine what Mary was thinking. Here was her brother, back from the dead. Here was Jesus, her friend, who had called him forth from the tomb. Lazarus, come out! Everything was being taken care of by her sister. But there was still something else that needed to be done. I imagine Mary opening up a chest and looking in and seeing a jar of perfume, an alabaster jar, with its neck sealed, filled with nard. I don't know how many of you enjoy perfume. How many of you have priced perfume? There's the stuff that you can pick up for $2. That probably isn't what you really want to be wearing. Well, this nard that Mary was taking out of the trunk cost a year's wages. This was an investment. This was the kind of thing that, using it a drop at a time, would still be extravagant. And she opened up that bottle, broke the seal. And once the seal's broken, it's going to start evaporating. She broke the seal and took the lid off, and the smell filled the room immediately. She knew what she was going to do. She was going to go and pour out just a drop on each of Jesus' feet. And then she went into the room where Jesus was sitting. And her heart melted. Just a drop. But she couldn't do it. This was the man who had brought her brother back from the dead. And she was going to give one drop to each foot. No. And she poured out half the bottle on Jesus' right foot, and the other half on his left, and she knelt down and massaged into his feet the costly ointment. The smell that had begun to fill the room when she had taken the stopper off the bottle was now so thick that it filled the air. And the disciples, sitting there with this smell hanging around them, were left to wonder. all except for Judas. You remember Judas, the one who kept the accounts for the disciples. And Judas said, "What a waste. She should have sold that and given the money to the poor." Judas was pretending to care, you see. But he had this habit, so John tells us, of skimming off the top, of taking a little bit and putting it in his own pocket. Yes, that should have been sold and the money given to the poor. That's not what he was saying, was it? He wasn't pointing out the extravagance of the act. He was being selfish in his desire to have had it for himself. And so Jesus responds, "The poor you will always have with you, and you should always take care of them," is the subtext of what he's saying. "But I won't always be with you. I won't always be with you," he said. As Mary, still kneeling there, began using her hair to dry his feet, taking that smell upon herself, sharing that moment with Jesus in a way that was going to linger. The smell of that nard was going to be with Mary, even when Jesus left. The smell was still going to be there with Mary. When Jesus made his way to Jerusalem, the smell was still going to be there with Mary. When Jesus was nailed to the cross. And on that Easter morning, when Mary woke up to take the burial spices to the grave to anoint Jesus, that smell was still going to be in her hair. That smell stays with us, doesn't it? That smell when we encounter the holy. That smell that we find when we encounter Jesus and give him our best. Judas, of course, was preoccupied with the cost. But Mary was preoccupied with her gratitude, with her heartfelt need to pour out not just 2 drops, but a whole bottle of perfume. And in that faithfulness, she found herself changed, indelibly marked with a presence that lasted. You know, I don't imagine that Mary, on her way to see Jesus on the cross, told anybody, "You know, I still smell like him." I don't imagine that on her way to the tomb, carrying more ointment, she told anybody, "Smell my hair." She didn't have anything to brag about. She had a broken heart. But even in that brokenheartedness, the holiness remained. I can imagine every time she turned her head, with the hair moving past her face, just that little lingering whiff that reminded her what her friend had done for her, what Jesus had done for her brother, what Jesus has done for us all. Today, as we gather to worship as we make our way into this next step of our Lenten journey, as we move towards Jesus' entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday with the cries of Hosanna. Let's not forget. Let's not forget to carry a little bit of today with us. The gratitude that we carry. The love with which we respond. It's part of who we are. It lingers. It lasts. It gives us strength. May we then, as God's very own people, move forward in love, in gratitude, in service, in humility, knowing that there is nothing that we could do that would earn God's love and grace, that we have nothing to brag about, not our faithfulness, not our service, not who we are, except for one thing, that we are all children of God, holy and beloved. Amen. Amen.